Deborah DeJonka Berry, the Eastham Public Library Director, and I'm going to introduce Matt Smith, who's with the Green Engineer, who's going to talk to you about some of the features of our new library that make it energy efficient and actually really good for the environment. Matt.
Thanks, Deb. One of the big pieces to this building that we've really been proud to be involved in is the energy efficiency that we've been able to achieve. The design team has been able to achieve in this building. The systems for the HVAC, the heating and the cooling are very efficient and can be zoned enough so that some spaces can get the heat while others don't necessarily need the heat, aren't getting that heat. And the same goes for cooling, and that allows for a very efficient climate-controlled building where it's needed. If you have a lot of people, in a meeting room somewhere that needs some more cooling than the other spaces, they can get that without necessarily being overly cooled in the stacks or the reading areas. Another primary aspect of this energy efficiency is the lighting. The lighting efficiency was somewhere around 54% for the interior lighting. We reduced the building's energy load for lighting by 54% based on compared to another building. And the same goes for the exterior lighting. The exterior lighting actually reduces the load by 82%, which is a phenomenal number for energy efficiency and lighting for a project like this.
Is this because of LED lighting?
Yeah,
or?
A lot of it has to do with the LED fixtures compared to like a strip fluorescent or incandescent, but it also has a lot to do with the controls. Occupancy sensors are installed in a lot of these spaces, as well as daylight sensors, so it can dial back and allow for dimming or turning off of the lights. So if you're getting a lot of nice north light, you don't necessarily need as much light coming from above in order to sufficiently read or search the stacks.
The beautiful room we're in right now, do we have daylight sensors here as well, or just LED?
Yeah, I believe there's photosensors that go all the way down to the end, and they're picking up on all the light that's coming in from these exterior windows, and you'll see that the lights are on.
Yes.
There's a certain luminance that we need to meet based on what the design of the room was, but it can, with LED, we can dial those back. So they don't, it's not a simple on-off. They can be dialed back and kind of dialed into what they need to be for the space. Yeah. So apart from the energy efficiency, there's also other very sustainable features of the building. We've got very efficient water fixtures. We've reduced the water use by this project compared to a typical library by 33%, just over 33%, by having sensors in the faucets. The toilets and urinals are lower flow than you would find in a conventional building, as well as the sinks that you would see in the program room downstairs or in the kitchen along the meeting room. Those sinks are dialed back a little bit as well, just to help conserve water. And these fixtures are so well designed that you don't notice.
I was going to say, I don't notice. I didn't know that at all.
So it's a really great feature that a lot of people don't pick up on because it's not something that you notice. But that's something that we were able to really be proud of. On the lines of water efficiency, there's also no permanent irrigation system that's installed as of right now, and that allowed us to reduce drastically the amount of water that would be used to water the lawns or water shrubbery and landscaping. So that's another big key to our sustainability. The last piece that I wanted to talk about was the indoor environmental quality that's been designed and built into this building. The focus of a lot of sustainability is not only efficiency and saving energy and money, but also making a high quality space for your occupants. So keeping low VOCs, volatile organic compounds, in your paints and finishes. So the carpets, the paints, the furniture are all low VOC, so you don't walk in and get that headache from the smells that come from a freshly painted room. That, as well as the daylight. as we were talking about with the lighting efficiency, it also helps with the comfort and quality of light that you get to experience as an occupant. So you're more comfortable, you're going to see the views outside, you get a gorgeous view of the pond. All of those things help to make the experience in the building more comfortable, but it also will help the well-being and improve the quality of visiting the building.
And that's wonderful, and we anticipate we're going to get a gold award for the LEED process, and leadership and energy efficiency design. Is that what it stands for?
Leadership in environmental.
Environmentally.
Yeah.
And part of that we have like homework. I mean, and one of the pieces of homework is actually this video. We need to put an educational component so that the public know what we're going to be, doing
Yep.
in this building in terms of efficiencies. But another one that we've agreed to do is a staff survey that actually is coming up pretty soon. And some of the features of this building allow the staff in the rooms that people really can't escape from, the offices. If they're uncomfortable, they're allowed to, say, raise the temperature, lower the temperature. And this survey is going to ask them how well it's working. And if it's not working well enough, it will, we will address that. Another thing I think, and I really don't understand, is the commissioning of the building. Can you talk just a tiny bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. So commissioning is when a third-party team comes in and reviews the drawings and the designs for the building, give comments, but then they also take those drawings and compare them against what's been installed, and they can determine whether or not the systems are running properly, the set points are being met the way that they're expected to. Set points being, are we achieving the temperature differentials we want, the hot versus cold, and they can also go in and make sure that the systems are operating properly and there aren't any shorts or anything that's going to cause more energy to be used, or something to fail sooner than you would expect. So it's more or less just a verification team that comes in, reviews everything, and says, okay, yes, this was installed per what the specifications said, and you should be good to go. Or they'll point out things that maybe the contractor or the design team during punch lists or anything like that may have missed. And it's all for the betterment of the project, and it tends to make these buildings perform even better than ones that don't necessarily go through that
And
commissioning
that was
process.
part of the LEED process, that we added that element in because we were pursuing LEED.
Yep.
One of the things you didn't mention that a lot of people are excited about is how efficient this building is outside compared to especially the old library. The old library had that parking lot with the oil from the cars running right into the pond. And this building has different components that are outside, underground, that we don't see, that protect our pond and our environment. Can you talk a little bit about what those are?
Sure. Yeah. So the building also, the site area was really designed well from a stormwater management and runoff standpoint. They did do a very good job of mitigating the runoff to the wetland, the designated wetland area, as well as the pond. And we're taking a lot of credit for that in LEED as well, because LEED really likes to see that we're paying attention to the runoff that's coming off from paving, like you were saying, what's going where, and we like to keep the water on site and let it infiltrate down into the ground, into the groundwater. That's a very important thing for the rating system, but also regionally, that's something that they like to see in Massachusetts along the coast, is that the runoff is cleaned and then re-infiltrated down. So that's something that was, like you said, a very big part of this.
And part of the building's design, the roof lines are sort of channeling water into a certain place, and then they go into a catch basin that is that kind of a rain garden that kind of filters the thing. And also in the parking lots too. In between the parking lots, there's these dips, and those are the rain gardens as well.
Yeah, and there's different design elements that will capture that water, bring it in, and then it naturally filters down into the groundwater after being sifted, more or less, out, get all of the inorganic material out of the way, and let the water go cleanly into the ground, which is great.
The other thing that we haven't touched on is the solar issue. Our roof is designed to accept solar panels. Right now we're relying on getting credits because the town has a big solar farm at the I call it the landfill, but that's wrong, but I'm just old. But they have, the solar farm there.
Sure.
But when we're ready, the town, and I would think the library trustees and their fundraisers will pursue some grants and fundraising to put solar panels on our roof, and then what that will do is basically make the meter run backwards. So it just doesn't show the use at all in terms of kilowatt hours.
Right.
And reduces the energy we call for, or gives us credit.
Yeah, and one of the primary, arguments for and against that whole concept is when we're relying on solar for renewable energy or anything like that, that it's all electricity. What about the gas, right? So the building, this building being designed for 100% electrical
Yes.
use is actually a little bit more forward-thinking and is incorporating systems that are still efficient yet still use electricity, but with the intent to down the road take advantage of that free energy that's coming down on the roof, and it will help just even more to reduce the costs, and it'll offset all of your building use instead of just the electrical part, whereas you would have gas
Exactly.
still coming in.
Yes.
So that is a kind of a in the background kind of future casting, but it's a pretty important one. And making sure that the roof is prepared to have that extra weight on it is a key feature of the project to make sure
My
that can
understanding
happen.
too is the metal roof that we have, it even has the clips that are ready to accept the panels.
Yep.
That'll be exciting someday.
Ready to go.
Yeah, great. Well, I want to thank you so much. I feel much more educated now, and I hope the rest of the community does too.
Well, great. Thanks for having me.